Plone and Webflow. Both platforms are for building websites and web experiences, but they approach things in different ways. I'm hoping that from this may inspire maybe things that may happen in the Plone community, as well as I want you to bear in mind that these two platforms have different motivations, and that may account for some of the strengths and weaknesses. Okay, so Plone, uh, we know it as an enterprise content management platform, and perhaps the probably two big things that tend to be emphasized are its security and flexibility. You can make it integrate with almost anything. Webflow, on the other hand, focuses very much on visual web design, and content management has been kind of added on at a later date. So it has really strong design tools, and it has an emphasis on no code development. And we'll put development in quotation marks because there's some limitations to what it can do. Let's look at Webflow's strength. Top things that I like about Webflow tend to be associated with what you can do as a designer and also some of the editing experiences. Here's a Webflow interface, and in this case, I am working in an existing project, so I'm using pre-created symbols, as they call it. You can think of these as blocks of visual code, and I'm just placing those symbols onto the screen to create my layout. And I can add other things as well that are not, these are built-in things such as sections and what they call containers. And I can put in a heading and paragraph. Now, while I'm doing all of this, I want to point out to you that this thing is responsive. So at different screen sizes, I can change the styles to get what I want. Webflow supports the concept of content types. It actually calls them collections. So you can have a collection of news items or a collection of profiles. In this case, these are basic documents, and I'm previewing how each of these documents will look. There's also the capability to create interactions. So what you're seeing me do here is create a simple interaction and test it out. And all of this is visual. And you can do really fancy interactions like what you're seeing here and here. So there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to designing the visual experience. And here are the Plone advantages. A common task like linking to an attachment is actually pretty challenging in Webflow, whereas in Plone, it's pretty much standard. So if I want to have a link to an image, I can upload that image, then link to that image. Some of those things are a little tricky in Webflow. So I call that CMS attachments. But Plone is also way more flexible for forms, and there are half a dozen other things where Plone really shines. Here's a site that we built in Webflow. It's basically not more than 4 pages and simple, whereas this one we built in Webflow, but then we implemented it on top of Plone. So it uses Webflow's interactions, but a lot of Plone's functionality. I would say to wrap up that you should use Webflow when you want to do simple designs and rapid prototypes. Go for Plone when you need more robust CMS functionality.